So I just wanted to demonstrate something. Talk to the flated people. The guy who was the one who offered the discount. Said I'm going to try something. So here goes. Not that I think that's going to make it any more watertight. Try that with any other pickup truck cap out there. Now we got to see how it works as a boat, because I said I would. Maiden voyage of the flated truck cap. See how this goes. Should have brought my stand-up paddleboard paddle, but I didn't. We're floating. Got a little bit of water coming in through the back window here. Amazingly stable. You know, if they made stand-up paddle boards this wide, nobody would ever fall off of them. Of course, it needs a skeg, guys. You want to make these things usable as a boat, it really needs a skeg. Otherwise, I'm going to have to learn how to scull. Then you have to put a sculling notch in, and I'll have to learn how to do the whole falling leaf thing. And I doubt that is really what most truck cap owners who also want to float their caps want to learn. There we go. Now, some people have been interested in comparing the cost of this to a one of those fabric toppers that folds. One of those fabric toppers that folds would never float out there. I can hear water running out, but where the water ended up is right there inside of that seam for the rear window. So when we flip it over, it'll all go away. There you go. The truck topper that floats. That should be their slogan. Because one of the things I joked with them also about was, so those of us that drive well, I don't, but drive pickup trucks out onto the ice for ice fishing in the winter, I wonder if this would hold the truck up so it wouldn't sink all the way. It would be a lot easier to recover. I know there was a company, I don't know if they're still in business, years ago they made pop-out airbags for boats so that if you hit a rock and the water's gushing in, you'd pull this lanyard and airbags would pop out of different compartments and the boat couldn't sink all the way. Obviously water would still come in. And they said their first big customer was actually, I believe, on Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire. They have a fleet of trucks that they drove out onto the ice to service the ice fishermen with, because people would stay at the hotel and go out or resort or wherever they were, if that's where it is. It might have been Minnesota for all I know, or some other place. And they had those airbags installed in their trucks because it costs so much money to hire a diver, to hire a recovery team to pull that truck out if it goes through and sinks. Just an idea. So, hey, that might actually save your vehicle from sinking. And in a pinch, maybe you could, I don't know, save somebody's life. Like I said, it needs a skeg, so I have to figure out how to attach one of those to this. But I just had to do it because I mentioned it. Crazy idea of the day. So, after you've finished removing all the water weed from your stand-up truck topper and placed it carefully back on the truck. Oh, got some more invasive weed here we got to get off. Let's see, where did I leave it off yesterday? That's right, here we are. We have the truck topper on the truck, not attached, not safe to drive down the road because of course it will blow off and we'll have trouble because it might bounce off a few people's cars and that's never good. Save this for later on, but I'm pretty impressed. This thing can float. I wonder how many people it could float. It'd be fun to bring my kids down here sometime and we'll really give it a try out. Okay, so next thing you got to do, attaching this to your truck. And I lost my daylight yesterday. I made a bunch of videos, but they're too dark because of the dark colors that this cap is made out of. So we're going to do this with daylight and mosquitoes. Alright, so here's one thing. As I said in the last video, I talked to the people from Flated and found out that, yeah, it's only supposed to have 2 of these hooks, and they intended them for here in the middle because they're expecting your Maverick is going to have metal tie down points like it does in the aft corners. But I think it's because, unless they really mean this D-ring down here on the floor, I don't know. But to me, having a strap running all the way down there doesn't make sense. And I have the cargo management system with this track and the lock. So we're going to use the hook at the front one. And I still haven't seen why that one's red, other than I guess they wanted to use red. I'm sure there's some great reason I just can't figure out. So run the loop through the hook, run it up through here. Obviously make sure your hook is facing that way so that it will hook under the truck bed rail. And you want your buckle so that this rubber thing sticks out, because that's what pushes it. Take, if you don't know how a cam buckle works, basically that's it. You got to pinch this to get it through, then you pull tight, and maybe they really did intend it, because man, is there a lot of extra on here. It's a good soldering iron would take care of. And for the middle one, I'm just going to use the cargo lock right here. Pretty easy. Down, down. No, I want to go the other way. You want to go up through your anchors, not down. That way you're pulling down when you're pulling down on the cam buckle. And it's an easier motion. Make sure you have it so it's not twisted. Same thing. Strap goes through. Oh, and I lied. I'm pulling up. Alright. Oh, you know what I meant anyways. Not going anywhere, is it? That's what you have to say whenever you secure a load in a truck, so that you know it's not going anywhere, right? And here we go. The rear one. The rear one actually does have the D-ring, and you couldn't see in the video before, I'm sorry. Right here, you get D-ring, and I'm guessing there would be one in the Maverick that didn't have the cargo track here. Don't know. I'm gonna have to go prowl around some car dealerships and figure that out. I've not taken note of that before, even though I do have pictures I could look at. So I guess, like I said, you actually want to go down through each of these, because then our cam buckle will be hopefully facing the other way. Yeah, it is. So pull that tight, because you don't want this thing flying off. Now, I have had people ask, and I have already taken this on the highway last night, and until you hit 90 miles an hour, you can't even tell it's there. Over 90, it starts to get noisy, but there was no flapping, there was no banging, no bumping. It's actually pretty good. I do find it interesting as well, way up here in the front, right there into the window. They have those two mesh pockets, which are nice. Personally, I'd like that material to make the window in the front, maybe on the inside, so that, or no, put the solid plastic on the inside, screen on the outside. Water would run down the screen and not come in, and that way I could actually have ventilation through into the cab. I have a hybrid Maverick, and by installing a fan and with the split rear window, leaving the key on, and this thing being so well insulated because it's captive air, probably actually could, if I could figure out how to fit inside of here to sleep with such a short bed, could actually keep this cap fairly comfortable as long as it wasn't in extreme cold or extreme heat. Just blowing the air through that little pass-through and back into here with like a small battery powered or USB powered fan. Just a thought. Flated has lots of things they're still working on, and personally I have another idea I think they should really try. I'm going to let them know about it. We'll see. So then of course you just secure it same way on the other side. Set up your straps correctly, starting from the top going down. Makes it a lot easier because now you can yank down on them to tighten them up. I still think it would be better if there were those J hooks for all of them, but you know what, I can probably buy them somewhere. So of course the next part to put on is your rear window, so that this will be sealed in the back as well. And one thing I really like about this is the plastic is dark, so you can barely see through it. This will be really nice for the whole out of sight, out of mind thing. You know, I'm somebody that uses a soft tonneau most of the time. I have tools and stuff underneath it, toys, different types of stuff, and I don't want anybody to be able to see it because most of the time people won't go after it if they know there's nothing under there. So I like the fact that you can't see through this back window. That's a really good thing. So to install your window, you need to start, of course, by lifting up this flap here so that the Velcro is separated, because these two are going to seal together to seal it. And so you probably start with a corner, but make sure it's even on the other corner. One thing I do like about this is actually, if you look across the side view here, you can actually see that that's not straight. That actually is curved, and that actually, I believe, helps match the shape of the tailgate. But I think it's probably actually a little bit better for strength, things like that. Now, if, let's see, you're over here on this side, and you need your Velcro to come over, because it's a soft topper, you can just push in, get that Velcro all the way down there, so that you get a nice complete overlap on that side for strength. And then same thing over here. Camera goes blank. I go in the bloopers reel. So once again, it's a soft topper, and you can push that in so that your Velcro is going to be completely covered. And then, of course, you got to seal it now. But I just discovered as I was standing on it, paddling around the pond, this is not waterproof once the water gets over that seal, especially because the ends aren't sealed on that gasket. And I would say you want to have your sides overlapping first, like that. Then your top down over it, like that. It's actually too bad they don't put a little bit of Velcro right here to help hold that down. And then your other trick, help get a good seal on your tailgate window, is take this and tuck it down, because the Velcro actually wraps all the way down around that corner. So attach it, tuck the tail right there between the cap and the top of the bed rail, and fold that down. And I have found from driving it on the highway, the wind is gonna pull up that corner like that. That's why I said Velcro right there would be nice, but that's where the water leaked in when I was paddling around. But it didn't even get up on top of the board, or up on top of the roof. So it's not a huge concern. And then the same thing on this side. Stretch your Velcro around here on top. Obviously this is something better to do in warm weather because it's going to be a lot more flexible. And then stretch your top seal down over your window, because as we know, gravity always works. And that way, also the end here by the zipper flap has Velcro on the end, which is why I think it would really be nice up there. So there's my rear window set in place, except for the tailgate. Now I took the strap off, so I'm gonna get it. These cubbies in the Maverick. This is doing what straps always do. Tying themselves in knots I don't know how to tie. And this strap secures that bottom edge of the rear window. You got the loop right here. This has a hook on it. Make a loop out of it. Simple as that. You get a buckle somewhere out in the middle of the top of the tailgate with it down, like so. And line up your Velcro right here at the end so it's facing out. And then check the other end, do the same thing. And then pull that strap tight, because all that's really holding it on here, unfortunately, from what I see, is the plastic trim and this little metal angle here in the end of the tailgate. Zoom in on that. So that's kind of what's holding it. It is not the most secure. I've already had it pop off just from opening the tailgate. So when you shut the tailgate, you want to hold this flap up. Just shut it. The problem I see with this is that strap wants to ride up here, and there's nothing to hold it down. The plastic is not the right shape. Naturally, the Velcro kind of sits off this edge right here, which is not, get close up here to show you. It is the Velcro strap, and it's just loose. There's nothing really locating it very well. The loop, the top of it wants to be right there, and as you roll it down, most of it is touching paint. And I don't want to put the strap over my paint, and I can't see because of there's a crease here in the tailgate. I just don't see a way that that's going to stay. So I think the long-term solution, if I really wanted to have this be sealed down tight, say driving in the rain, stuff I didn't want to get wet, I would probably go with some of that incredibly strong adhesive Velcro and just stick it here and flated. I would suggest that's what you guys do. Maybe even reverse it so that the hook is on here and the loop is on here, because a soft fuzzy strip of Velcro across here really wouldn't bother me. I also thought maybe of strong magnets to stick it down, but a magnet, even with a nice, it'll collect dirt and then it's going to rub against the paint, and it won't also stick against, airflow doing these kind of things, which I don't know if it does or not. I'd love to have my son maybe drive behind me and get a video of what it's doing at high speed on the highway. But this right here is probably the one, like I said, I would just put some of that really 10 pounds, supposed to hold up shovels and whatever, Velcro. Just a strip of it right here, basically bridging that gap, because that's right where the the loop falls, is right on that line. The only thing I can say that I really think I'm going to improve if I use this long term, because even if it's there and that strap is tight, it's not really holding. You'd almost need straps going vertically around the tailgate, almost like a tailgate pad, in order to keep this down where it should be, or some way for it to hook into here, which I don't think there really is. So this is my only nitpicking thing about it. Here's, you know, you could even have a couple hooks or one hook down here, but now you get straps going over your paint. I don't like that idea either. So that's where it's at, and it's starting to rain. So well, there we go. There's the rear window. Let's show you how it opens and closes. So to open your rear window, it's easy as zipping it open, and yes, people are going to complain it's not locked. Well, it's made out of fabric. A knife would open it too. I don't really know that that's anything that I would consider a deal breaker on this. And then you just want to take a roll, probably about the width of the Velcro. And take out your securement strap. There it is. Your window is open, a full amount. So let's say you're loading cargo through your tailgate. It's not going to be catching on stuff. There's much less risk of catching it, tearing it, poking a hole in it, or creasing it, or anything like that. Or if you just want it open to look out, you know, we could be creative maybe and come up with some sort of a fiberglass pole thing to hold it out like an awning. Who knows? I know Flated said they are working on something, because obviously a 4.5 foot bed. I'm 5'10". I could not sleep in this even diagonally. It's just not enough space. My knees have to be bent a little bit, and I don't sleep on my side. It would be very uncomfortable. Flated said they are working on something to basically make this the length of the full tailgate, which would of course give you a 6 foot sleeping area. And it would be awesome if it was inflatable and you could tie it right into that Velcro. Wouldn't be that hard. Actually, they're kind of cool. You even have a little door in the back or something to get in and out through. I could see spending, I don't know, half as much as the cab cost even for it, because I'm sure they wouldn't sell as many. Not that I plan on sleeping in this thing ever. It's just an idea. Kind of cool. And of course then I'd want, like I said, that screen window in the front. And then securing it, of course you want to tuck your straps in. So there's another way to have them. And really, they could just put little tabs up there, but obviously this is the idea that if you're driving down the road, because otherwise the wind's going to grab it and it's going to start flapping back. And that would be good. Little tabs. So here's your Velcro that secures your window when it's open. And simply fold it like this. Tuck the end up there. Push it back inside that pouch and secure it out of the way. Zipper it down. So you just have to zip that shut and you're all set. And like I said before, take those, maybe tuck them. Maybe a little bit of work needs to go on right there. I don't know. It works for now. And tailgate shut. Once again, lift up on that flap. Close tailgate. Secure your Velcro. And it actually works pretty good. Might be nice if there was an overlap here with a Velcro flap to kind of secure this a little better on the end. I'll show you where I can see daylight on the inside next. As I said before, I'm not someone who's probably going to camp in here. I camp in tents because I like to take a boat somewhere and camp where you can't drive to. I'm a little crunched. This would work in a pinch. Remember, I'm sitting flat on the bed, and if I was up on top of a mattress, that's a little bit tighter. But in a pinch, well insulated, it's still air. And if you know anything about insulation, it's the little pieces of air that are trapped in between the fibers of your fiberglass, or I build a lot of stuff out of foam, and with foam, it's all the air that's in between the plastic that actually is the insulation. It's air held in place, because air doesn't transfer heat as well as something solid does. So this is going to be much more well insulated than fiberglass, way better than aluminum. And even those, you know, just one layer of vinyl, that's not really good insulation in comparison to 2 layers of vinyl plus air and whatever cells are inside. You can see the little dots on the surface. Makes me think there's some sort of cells inside, just like a stand-up paddleboard has. So it's better than just an air mattress, which is what you get otherwise. I'll show you the inside. So looking at the back of the cab, you can see that is only about a 1-inch wide area where it's painted there. This curve is not quite perfect. It's good, but it isn't perfect. I also found that flap on the top of the forward window was enough that I could not see my brake lights coming on whenever. I expected to see them reflecting off the cap, because I did have an aluminum cap years ago, and I knew for sure every time I stepped on the brake because it shined in my back window. This one doesn't do that. I was kind of surprised. This is a pretty bright LED unit that I put on. And this right here, this curve, really, I almost think this cap should be set down inside, and the way it's formed, this would have to require some shaping right there. Obviously they're not going to do that immediately just because I says so. I'm probably, if I ever wanted to camp in here, going to have to come up with some way to seal that. And the problem you have on a Maverick is any truck that's not unibody like the Maverick. See, the Maverick, there is no break between the cab and the bed. It's all one piece. And so the forward wall of the bed is not a separate piece of metal, and then there's a back wall of the cab. They're one sheet of metal, essentially. So here I've taken the back seat, folded it forward, where you store junk, and it has reinforcement to it, but literally this is the bed of the truck that we're looking at here. There's a box to that because they needed that for reinforcement. And the problem is any water that gets between these two, the roof and this forward wall, is going to go straight down, and it's going to be trapped because of this plastic piece here, and it has to go inside the bed. So this is one where I almost think maybe something to bridge this, if you're planning on camping in this, you know, some sort of probably like electrical tape and a piece of something taped on here, and then a piece of PVC or whatever bridging these two pieces here together. And it only has to run over here to the end and drop the water outside of this gap, because anything going in this gap has to go down inside the bed. There's nowhere else for it to go, unlike every other truck. So the only other ones you're gonna have to deal with, if they ever make one for the Santa Cruz, that'll be one that you'll have to do it for, and the Honda Ridgeline is the other one, and the new electric Chevy Avalanche would also require it as well. But when this cap profile sits here like this, it just does not meet the curve perfectly. That maybe needs some work. I thought about maybe extra foam building up here, but really I think the solution is you got to build a rain gutter up here basically. I don't know how Flated could do that. It probably would be something the owner would have to do. How many people are going to camp on these unless Flated does come out with an extension kit for the tailgate, in which case that gutter should be part of it. Just like right there, there should be a place to mount an SUP fin box. It really should be, just for the joke of it, if nothing else. You guys need to add that. That's my thing. I could figure out how to glue one on there just for the fun of it. One of the reasons I really love this cap is the fact that I can put stuff on the roof. I know their pictures, they have someone standing on the roof. And that one of my things, I haul a lot of kayaks. And my kayaks mostly are made out of foam. I have a few plastic. I have some plywood that are heavier. I'm the foam kayak guy. Look up Sawfish Kayak if you ever want to know what I build. Also sea foam, my first design. Well, somebody else's design. I just made it in foam. But the Sawfish is my most successful one, and they weigh about 25 pounds. I don't know what this roof rating is for weight. I would be interested to find out, but you get these D-rings, and believe me, I'm gonna put a pool noodle across just to keep the kayak from grinding on the paint on the cab, and probably a pool noodle on the cab. Eventually I want to come up with a better rack system. But this right here is going to allow me to rooftop carry my kayaks, my boats, stand-up paddle boards, anything like that, because obviously the Maverick with a 4.5 foot bed, it just looks funny when you stick a kayak in there. I even have a load extender on the back here. It brings it to maybe 7 feet, but on a 12-foot kayak you still got 5 feet sticking out, and that's just crazy. This roof, I think Ford really missed it when they didn't put a track system permanently mounted right here where these drip channels are, so that you could put crossbars. But hey, they launched this thing during COVID, and more power to them. I'm amazed they even brought it out. So, and also thank you so much, getflated.com, for the flated company actually making this, and I'm gonna add a few videos of me putting stuff on top, maybe myself even. But I am very impressed with this. Well worth the money, because I know people say, well, it's expensive and this and that, but if you think about how much it would cost to buy a ladder rack system, they're not cheap. And then you can't, it's not enclosed, it's still wide open, especially if you want one that goes with a tonneau cover and all the issues that go with that. So with this, it's more or less watertight. But like I said, it's going to need a little work up there if you really want watertight. Just like with the soft tonneau cover, little water's going to get in. You probably want to keep stuff in bags and watertight boxes, or just don't put stuff in there that's going to get damaged by getting wet. But otherwise, and personally, flated, my big idea you guys need to do next is a rooftop tent. And you need to make it so that it folds back on top of here, and then it folds out on top of the roof of the cab. That will spread out the weight, and it can sit right on the cab roof. And then you can have, just like your cargo carrier that goes on the roof, you can have a tent that goes up there. And I think that would be awesome. You could even make an extension here on the back so people could stand on the tailgate. So, you know, have a place to vertical stand, and you can slide, you know, put stuff up there, and you have a place under here. I'm not telling you how to do it, but that's just my idea, and if you use it, I don't care. I hope you do. Obviously, you're gonna have to figure something around that antenna. I always thought Ford shouldn't have put it right there in the middle of the roof. They should have put it up on the front like a real truck, but they didn't ask me.